the last one will probably dip. I think the capital there.
Is it showing? Have a little walk?
Is that the last one?
No, no. Okay.
Yeah, if you can like landing at like 5:30.
Mic check, test, test. Check, check. Mic check, test, test. Check, check. We can try and adjust it.
I can adjust it.
Okay, cool. Check, check, mic check. Test, test. Test, test, mic check. Good? Okay.
Thank you.
Check, check. Do you want this last one? Mic check.
Yeah.
Test, test. Mic check, mic check. Check, check, mic check. Good? Okay.
Yep. Might have to run it right here when they start talking, because everyone talks a different volume.
Got a couple of press. And then I'm gonna take off. Are you good? Hello? Yes, Tyler. Oh, hi, Tyler. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks for letting us know about it. What's the farm I can do?
Remember we spoke about the one behind?
Yes.
All the remarks and after that, and so we have for all the conversations about, so usually we from finger and
Sounds good. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Are you for the festival?
Pardon?
Are you for the festival?
No.
Are you not interested in your?
No. Is this not the
How cool is this because of managing the numbers and capacity? Just trying to be mindful of that. Are you here in town?
just so that we can be here.
Okay. Cool. Right, yeah, privacy.
Thanks.
Thank
You don't know how long the insurance is on.
Yes. Yeah, he's just the one. Yeah. Is there that place on the and then there's another one on Street Food and Capital. Okay. Okay, sister is right on there. Okay. But this one's left here, so. Oh, that's it. I'm sorry. No, that's good. Thank you so much. This knowledge that we we know what you're getting into, it's gonna be hard. And he's like, also don't be like too millennial, like, the generation we. Hilarious, it's something I feel so validated that he subscribed and he reads it, because he was so skeptical. Maybe that doesn't true, and like, he based on people's investments too. That was good, he brought me down like just enough.
Thank you. We're joining you today from University of Northern Colorado. Go Bears in Greeley. I want to thank UNC, their president, Andy Feinstein, who we talked to earlier, for hosting us. Also joined by State Representative Mary Young from Greeley, the Office of Economic Development Director Betsy Markey, and Department of Local Affairs Director Rick Garcia for joining us. Before we begin, I want to express on behalf of Colorado our wishes for all those associated with the COVID breakout in the White House to have a full recovery, including, of course, the President, his wife, and all of those affected. And, of course, we also wish a speedy recovery for everyone affected by COVID across the world. We also have a Colorado loss. We lost a Colorado firefighter in action in California fighting the fires. 58-year-old pilot Ricky Fulton from Colorado died after his single-engine air tanker crashed fighting the Shill fire, actually near Idaho, not California, over Idaho. My condolence goes out to Ricky's family and friends and colleagues. We are so appreciative of all the Colorado firefighters and all the firefighters nationally, whether it's not too far from here in Larimer County, whether it's in California, Idaho, Oregon, putting themselves at risk to protect others. Colorado thanks Ricky Fulton, and we express our condolences to his family, a debt that we can never repay. In Colorado, we now have 200 COVID hospitalizations, people hospitalized for coronavirus. That's the highest number that we've had since August 9th. We continue to be concerned about the upward trend in coronavirus. We've had 9 of the last 14 days with an upward trend in cases, even more, 11 of the last 14 with an upward trend in hospitalizations. So 200 does not challenge our hospital capacity. We have plenty of capacity to address folks who have COVID or heart attacks or cancer or any condition. What worries us is the trend, that it's been going up. It was as low as 120 coronavirus hospitalizations just 2 weeks ago. So this is an increase. We need to really bear down here, Colorado. Wear masks when you're around others. Be outside instead of inside where you can. Wash your hands regularly. Avoid gatherings. That's where a lot of this occurs. Just be thoughtful, be safe, be cautious. For businesses, continue telecommuting to the extent you can. The state is at about 65% telecommuting, and we can and we are maintaining that for a period of time. I know many businesses are as well. Not all businesses can, and we understand that. Some people have to come in and it's manufacturing or it's person-to-person service. We appreciate those first-line responders. Wear masks around others. Let's be safe. Let's get through this. We're 6 months in a week. I really strongly believe, based on the information that I know, we're past the halfway point. I think that we'll hopefully have the first dosages of an effective vaccine in November, December for first-line workers and others, hopefully with availability for the larger general public early next year. The reason that it has that qualification, hopefully, is because the vaccines have yet to be proven safe and effective. That's what's going on now. Phase 3, there's positive antibody response. Correlating that antibody response to increased resistance or immunity is that work that needs to occur and is occurring in the next few weeks and months. We're grateful for all of the scientists across the world, including teams in Colorado, both working on developing vaccines as well as on validating vaccines. And I want to thank all of those who have, including many Coloradans, who've signed up to be part of the phase 3 trial and phase 2 trial. So thank you for doing that and receiving those vaccinations. And as a world, as a state, here in northern Colorado, where we are today in Weld County, we are grateful for you being willing to test those vaccines, and that ultimately can save lives. For the rest of us, save lives by wearing masks, save lives by avoiding gatherings, save lives by washing your hands, save lives by recreating outside instead of inside. Let's do it. One of the keys to success in containing the virus is early identification of tests, of positivity and testing. So while, for instance, as an example, we don't yet know how widespread the White House outbreak is, because of the aggressive testing they have at the White House, it's contained with a lower number of people than it would be if there had been no testing on the front end. And we hope that there's limited additional victims of the outbreak at the White House. Here in Weld County, we have an average positivity rate of 4.51%. In Larimer County, 2.6%. So statewide, it's 3.65%. So what does that say? Because first of all, the incidences are similar. In Colorado, it's about 136 cases per 100,000. Larimer County is doing a little better, 108 per 100,000. Weld County, 125 per 100,000. But a big difference in the positivity rate. It means that Larimer County is doing better than the state in testing and has a lower positivity rate as a result. That means that they are successfully catching a much higher percentage of the cases than the state as a whole and then Weld County. It's really important that anybody experiencing symptoms get tested. And there are a lot of folks that might have symptoms and think it's the fires, it's the air. And in many cases, they might be right, but you need to know, because the initial symptoms are similar: shortness of breath, cough, difficulty breathing, all of those issues that are often associated with the historically poor air quality often are some of those early symptoms of coronavirus, and it's important to get tested. There is no cost drive-through testing available, very easy in Fort Collins, Tuesdays and Fridays 9 to noon at CSU parking lot 740, Wednesdays at Larimer County Loveland campus 9 to noon. Banner Health here in Greeley, 8 in the morning to 5, Monday through Friday. Some of them are by appointment, some of them you just show up, but in Summit View on 70th, it's by appointment. Here, very exciting, next week, very exciting, King Soopers at Northgate Shopping Center at 10th and 71st will have drive-up, quick, free, easy testing. So I know that that's a lot easier for people. Don't put it off if you need testing today, but starting next week, that'll be available outside of King Soopers at Northgate here in Greeley. We also have at the banner sites in Brighton, on Egbert and Commerce City and Estes Park in Fort Collins and Fort Lupton, Frederick, Longmont, Sterling. And of course, the free, quick, and easy testing site at Waterworld in Federal Heights continues to be available for folks as well. Denver has changed their model. Do we have those, Maria? The 5 Denver sites. I'll be giving you those in a moment. Denver had one site at the Pepsi Center. There's now 5 different sites, and I'll be reading those off to you in a moment. But in the meantime, Colorado Springs, Citadel Mall, Waterworld is going through the end of the year, which is great, available for free, quick, and easy, 8801 North Pecos. And a number, and you can check out the list at covid19.colorado.gov. There are over 50 testing sites across the state. So hopefully there's one within an hour of you, no matter where you live, in Mesa County, Pueblo, as well. But if you're experiencing symptoms, get tested. By upping our testing rate, we decrease our positivity rate, we identify more cases early, and we prevent the virus from spreading. And in a few moments, I'll be able to give you the Denver sites. I think they're printing those for me now. Later today, we're visiting Grandview Elementary. That's part of Weld 4 School District. It's an elementary school that's been on a regular schedule with accommodations. They've been doing a great job so far with the mask wearing and sanitation. Weld 4 has their, like many districts, has their middle and high school students on a hybrid schedule, so they're coming in different days. I've been visiting schools across the state to see how they're safely going back, and it just brings such a smile to my face to see the kids not only, of course, getting an education that they need, but also just having that normalcy that we all need in these times, that whether it's 2 days in school or 5 days in school a week can bring them. And I know that there's other parents that online works for them and they're not ready to send their kids back, and that is if that decision works for you, that is a good one for you and your family as well. Everybody's empowered to make that choice. If your kids are back in person, if you're doing online. Earlier this week, Education Commissioner Katie Anthus and I talked about the importance of enrolling and attending and engaging in school. So whether that's a private or public school or homeschool, it's important that parents engage. And there are many public school programs. If you don't like the particular online program that your district has, there are many others. You can enroll in any of the public school online programs in the state. Please check it out. We continue to send masks to teachers. In Larimer County, we provide 8,600 masks per week to teachers. In Weld County, 6,900 medical grade masks per week for teachers. And we are over 1.4 million masks that have been distributed to teachers across the state. We visited several businesses here today. East Colorado, Northern Colorado Small Business Development Council, got to hear from small businesses, retail, florist, restaurant. It was really a great discussion, right? Representative Young, I think, really to hear about what's going on in the real world, the challenges they face. One business that was fortunate enough to actually be up over the last few months, that was able to adapt early and pivot in the crisis. Others that are struggling to get by. We also visited Distortions Unlimited in time for Halloween. They make props. It's really fun to see all the zombies and gremlins and monsters there. They've been doing it for over 40 years, and it's really exciting to see that kind of manufacturing, employing about a dozen people here in Colorado. And as we get towards Halloween, there will be more specific guidelines, but I think the most important thing is make your plans as a family to have fun this holiday. Avoid other households where you can, and maybe do a scavenger hunt around your house or your yard. If you're going to trick or treat, do it with household members. And what many, of course, people are doing is putting pre-made little candy out in little paper cups or that sort of thing. Keep your mask on, of course, and don't, save the candy eating for when you get home. But what a lot of families are doing, what we're doing, is we're going to have some fun around the house and yard and hide some candy, and the kids will get dressed up and have a little candy hunt there. And of course, we also, if anybody is going out for Halloween, we all the normal safety things you need. Make sure you have reflective tape on costumes, adults with kids, as monitoring, and glow sticks and flashlights to avoid collisions with vehicles. All of those normal things, of course, too. But I think the biggest thing is, sometimes in Halloween we see, and it's fun, you might see a group of 15 kids all together in a big group going out. That's the kind of thing we want to avoid. Just keep it with the household group. Maybe if it's somebody from their class at school that's part of their cohort anyway, there are 2 or 3 people together. But any type of large group is dangerous, and that's the important thing, is that we get and lock down these outbreaks early. It's 1 or 2 or 3 people, not 50 or 100 people. I'm looking forward to visiting the Riverwalk in Fort Collins again this year. Really, the art scene there, and how they're getting through and really seizing the moment to create a positive legacy for Fort Collins. As you know, they turned a former landfill into really a hub for the arts and lifestyle industries, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that again. We're also visiting Dementia Together, which provides support services for Coloradans living with dementia. We were able to send out $12,500 through the COVID Relief Fund to benefit Dementia Together. Meals on Wheels Fort Collins got $25,000 from the COVID Relief Fund. So far, the COVID Relief Fund has distributed over $20 million to nonprofits across Colorado. I want to thank all of the donors, including the Denver Broncos, IKEA, so many others, individual donors. You can visit helpcoloradonow.org to help, corporate donors, philanthropic donors. With that, I want to turn it over to the Executive Director of Colorado's Office of International Development and Trade, of Economic Development and Trade, Betsy Markey.
Hey, Hey, thank you very much, Governor. It's great to be back here at UNC. And as the Governor mentioned, we visited some small businesses today located here in Greeley who hearing their stories of how they are recovering and pivoting. And we know that we're here to support them as they are the economic engines for the state of Colorado. I want to talk about a couple of programs that we have available and how we partner with businesses here in northern Colorado. The first one is our Enterprise Zone program, which benefits multiple industries here in northern Colorado, including tourism, energy, technology, transportation, and of course agriculture. COVID Enterprise Zone nonprofits here in Weld County have already raised over $300,000, and they're helping over 170 businesses due to some of these tax credits. Also, our Advanced Industry Accelerator Grant Program, companies such as Berthoud's KUSA Major Technologies, which makes rocket engines, Apaturus Research and Development have both received early stage capital grants to get those businesses, those important businesses that have good paying jobs off the ground here in Colorado. Between the two major universities in northern Colorado, the state has awarded 62 proof of concept applications totaling over $51 million in grants to further the research and development of technologies developed at these universities. Weld County also has 3 job growth incentive tax credit projects, which are responsible for over 300 net new jobs in Weld County, Hexel and Agilent being 2 of those companies. In Larimer County, we have 9 active job growth incentive tax credit projects, and they're responsible for over 2,000 jobs in the state. So a program that provides incentives for companies who are creating net new jobs to the state of Colorado. And then, of course, we're happy about J.M. Smuckers, who received some strategic fund money from the state of Colorado based on 382 new jobs they have brought to the state. Fortunately, COVID has not affected their business, and they are currently running at full capacity. As the governor mentioned, we visited one of the Colorado's creative companies, Distortions Unlimited, and I wanted to let you know that with InnoEdit, the Colorado Creative Industries, we administer the Creative District Program, which offers vetted districts access to grant funding, tailored technical assistance, and networking to advocate the creative industries as an economic development tool. The Betcher Foundation is a partner in that. We have 26 creative districts around the state, 4 here in northern Colorado, which is the Fort Collins Creative District, the Greeley Creative District, Longmont Arts, and Loveland as well. We also offer 7 different programs under our RTAP program, which is our Rural Technical Assistant Program, and Northern Colorado continues to be very active participant in all 7 of those programs. And then, of course, our tourism office offers marketing matching grants and has a strong record. We have a strong record of serving Larimer and Weld County, driving tourism traffic to Greeley, Estes Park, and to Fort Collins. And I finally want to mention 2 programs, COVID relief programs that the state has developed for small businesses. The first one is the Energize Colorado Gap Fund, which offers $15,000 in grants and $20,000 in low-interest loans with CARES Act money for a combined potential assistance of $35,000. I want to thank Representative Young, who co-sponsored the bill to make the GAP Fund possible. We have had many thousands of applications that we're going through right now. The first round of awards should be made next week, with the second round of applications opening up next week as well. We do know that the amount of requests we have received from small businesses far exceeds the money that we have available in those funds. So we have also created a second fund, and that is called our Climber Fund, which is Colorado loans to invest in Main Street economic business recovery. And those are capital for loans averaging about $100,000. We hope to help about 1,000 of the hardest hit businesses in the state who had a track record of being successful prior to the pandemic, but we know that they need this assistance to get back on track. Finally, I do want to mention that Northern Colorado remains one of the most engaged regions of the state with the Office of Economic Development, and we are grateful for that partnership. And Colorado's economy continues to gain momentum. And in conjunction with the governor's office, we know that sustained economic growth rests on a foundation of strong and responsible public health. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Betsy. By the way, in Denver, they have many sites on Saturdays, so tomorrow is a big testing day in Denver. If you want to go to Lincoln High School, Montbello High School, Denver Indian Center, 4407 Morrison, RE Vision, 3800 Morrison, Claro, 12000 East 47th, Denver Human Services East on 38th and Steele, and then their daily one, the Paco Sanchez Park, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturdays, 8 to noon. So those are some Denver testing sites. Across the state, go to covid19.colorado.gov, and if you're experiencing symptoms, get tested. Really important. Early identification saves lives, could be your family, your friends, your coworkers, and make sure that you can take the precautions that you need to if you're contagious to quarantine. With that, we're joined by Rick Garcia, the Executive Director of the Department of Local Affairs. Rick.
Thank you, Governor. And hello, Weld County, City of Greeley, and thank you, President Feinstein, for hosting us at the University of Northern Colorado. Let me begin by acknowledging that this region of the state has a history of reacting and responding quite well to natural disasters. Let me remind you that it wasn't that long ago, the floods of 2013 really impacted this county in particular, and many of the small municipalities and towns throughout the area. DOLA, the Department of Local Affairs, played a very critical role in those early days, and we continue to do that today, even with facing this health pandemic. So let me remind you that DOLA wants to partner, and we do partner. We help leverage local capital with matching grant programs from the department, as well as providing technical assistance to support local counties, cities, and towns throughout this region. In particular, the regional manager of DOLA for this region, the North Central region, is Chris LeMay. And if you have not met Chris, he's relatively new, but he's a strong player. He comes from a city management background. So hopefully you'll have a chance to meet him. Let me begin with some COVID data updates. Data that relates to the Coronavirus Relief Fund, which originated with the CARES Act that was passed by Congress back in March. And the CARES Act dollars dedicated to state and local governments was primarily focused on helping local governments meet the unanticipated budget challenges that the public health and medical emergency would bring forward. That was expenses related to the COVID emergency between March 1st and the end of December of this year. The governor, through his leadership, was able to issue an executive order that made $275 million available to local governments throughout the state. We work closely with the Colorado Municipal League, the Colorado Counties Incorporated, the Colorado City and County Managers Association, and the Special Districts Association, as well as others, to help guide the process of how we distributed those dollars. And we did that on a per capita basis. Recently, in fact, just this week, we issued an additional reserve NOFA from the Coronavirus Relief Fund program of an additional $28 million that's intended to help support additional needs that local communities and counties may have in preparing for the winter season. That will be end of the CRF dollars if we are able to make those available. That's open right now and open to local governments to submit their applications up to October 15th. So in Weld County, the county itself has received over $20 million of CRF dollars. They're working directly with the county and 32 municipalities to get those dollars out to support the needs of these local jurisdictions. While we're here in Weld County, let me offer my congratulations to the city and town of Windsor. It's a Main Street community, which is part of a national downtown program. They received a $50,000 grant from the Colorado Department of Transportation, a program called Revitalize Main Street. And they use this money to expand their outdoor dining and seating options to support their downtown businesses. The Main Street program, which is run by DOLA, is supporting their efforts to adapt their winter events and extend this season for all local downtown businesses. Since we're here in Greeley, let me acknowledge the city manager who's here, Roy Otto, who's also a member of the Energy Impact Assistance Fund Advisory Committee, and that's the group that makes decisions and recommendations to the DOLA Executive Director on how to disperse some of the capital programs that we have available through that Energy Impact Program. Also, Mayor John Gates was with us earlier. I don't know if he's still here. I wanted to acknowledge the mayor as well. Greeley received over $3.9 million from the county CRF program to use to meet their unanticipated expenses. Larimer County, $30 million in CRF funds for the entire county and municipalities within Larimer County. Also, special districts within Larimer County also received $2 million. And these special districts are entities that operate as local governments. They could be fire protection districts, EMS districts, school districts, water and sewer, or other kinds of special districts. Now let me pivot to the need for individuals that are struggling to meet rental or mortgage programs or their individual needs. The Division of Housing within the Department of Local Affairs launched a program called Emergency Housing Assistance Program. This is for individuals and families who cannot make their monthly rent or mortgage payments due to being impacted directly by COVID. In total, at least $2.5 million has been paid out to over 1,100 households statewide to support those individuals in meeting their rental and mortgage obligations. Here in Weld and Larimer County combined, at least 280 households have been served by the Emergency Housing Assistance Program so far. Local nonprofits, such as Neighbor to Neighbor, these are local agencies that we've contracted with to support Larimer and Weld County residents that are in need of making these rental obligations. In addition, Almost Home is another nonprofit that also serves parts of Weld County and Adams County, and they are working also to make these direct assistance payments available. On a statewide basis, we have contracted with a statewide organization called Brothers Redevelopment. They are working with other nonprofits around the state to ensure that individuals have information and access how to tap these dollars. If you're interested in reaching out to those entities, you can do that through the website at ehap_team@brothersredevelopment.org. In addition, we have also launched a landlord assistance program that landlords can make application to get rental assistance on behalf of their properties, their renters. This came about through the use of CARES Act dollars that were appropriated by the Colorado legislature in this past session. Thank you, Representative Young. This program is called the Property Owners Preservation Program, or POP. To date, over 1,300 landlords have been approved to be part of this program. $6.7 million have been paid out with an additional $3.1 million in the pipeline. This is helping landlords meet their mortgage obligations and help stabilize the rental and housing market. Statewide, 4,500 households have been served to date. And it's a very aggressive program. It's working quite well, and we just launched this about 2 months ago. Almost 100 households in Larimer and Weld County have been assisted by the POP program, totaling over $225,000. Also, on the housing counseling front, people who need assistance to avoid eviction or foreclosure prevention can call the Colorado Housing Connects. This connects you to local housing counseling agencies. That direct phone number is 844-926-6632, or on the web at coloradohousingconnects.org. We also have Spanish-speaking counselors available. And finally, let me mention that the governor appointed a special task force to look at eviction prevention and provide recommendations to the governor and to the Department of Local Affairs on how policies can potentially be implemented either through executive order or through the legislature to curb and stem the impact that individuals will have as they meet their, are unable to meet their long-term rental or mortgage obligations. Those recommendations will be made to the governor quite shortly. And in closing, let me also mention that DOLA will continue to dedicate itself and its work to support local communities and counties throughout this region. It's clear that we can only survive this pandemic economically and come out of it successfully by collaborating and working together. Thank you for your time. I look forward to your questions. Back to you, Governor.
Thank you, Rick. I again want to thank President Feinstein. We got to see your beautiful Performing Arts Center here. If you haven't been to UNC Greeley lately, they have a beautiful Performing Arts Center, and they had their student orchestra that was practicing there. Really wonderful to see, all safely spaced. The President said they're all 12 feet apart, and the ones that aren't using wind instruments are wearing masks if they're on violin, and so very good. It shows how we're plowing through. We're doing what we can. We're just doing it in a safe way. We want everybody to have all of the great experiences we treasure in life. Just we can't do them the same way we did 6-7 months ago. We're going to do them in smart, new, safe ways. We're going to stay safe, keep the economy growing, stay alive. We're joined by really Greeley's amazing voice in the state legislature. Representative Mary Young has just been such an effective voice for Greeley, and I'm so proud to be in her district, and we'll turn it over to Representative Young.
Thank you, Governor. It is wonderful to have you here once again today. In my tenure of over a year, it's at least your third visit, and I want to thank UNC, too, for hosting this today. I'm a proud alumna of UNC. It's a wonderful institution. I earned my doctorate in school psychology here, and I know what a wonderful educational institution it is. I want to talk about Greeley, Evans, and Garden City, my district, which we're sitting in right now. As the governor has said, we've been impacted by COVID. We've had a number of deaths. The JBS plant employees were significantly impacted. What we have learned during this pandemic is how closely intertwined public health and economic health are, and how we have to make decisions that recognizes that interconnection. And as we, as in the legislature and the governor, had decisions to make about CARES funding, I think that was in the back of all of our minds, that we have to, in order to increase our economic health, we have to increase our public health. And so we came together with the executive branch and the many departments in Colorado and our bipartisan work in the legislature, we made commitments for the CARES Act money. And I think we made some very effective choices. Are we ever going to be perfect? No, we're never going to be perfect, but I want to highlight some of the uses of the CARES Act money here in this area that I think has really had a significant impact on us and helped our health and economic recovery. Locally, the North Range Behavioral Health received $750,000 to respond to the changes in delivery and treatment during this time of pandemic. Many of us have talked about what significant impacts we've had on mental health during this crisis. We've had an increase in suicide rates. People are increasingly feeling the mental health effects of isolation and a significant change in their lifestyle. So I have to commend North Range because the day after services were closed, they were immediately responding to the needs of their clients. They immediately the next day set up a telehealth setting and remote interaction with clients, and it was due to this availability of the CARES Act that allowed them to be so effective. They also got money through the CARES Act to hire an additional early childhood position, which was so essential to provide additional child care. As we have learned during this pandemic, access to child care means access to your employment. So that was critical. I'd like to go on to talking about two of our great educational institutions here in the area, UNC and School District 6. I'll start with UNC. I got to tour, UNC received CARES Act. I got to tour UNC the first day of school, and it was amazing how well prepared they were and how they were following all the guidelines, social distancing, lots of instruction occurring over online, and they had a really well thought out plan for the inevitable when they had students who were testing positive, and they have very effectively implemented that. District 6 was in Greeley and Evans, is one of the bigger districts to commit to in-person instruction right away. And they use their CARES Act money in such an effective way. And I talked to a lot of teachers before school opened who were very reluctant to move into this in-person instruction. And I've got to tell you, for the most part, those that I've spoken to recently feel like the district really is committed to the health and safety of not only the students, but the staff. And they've implemented with these CARES Act dollars excellent protections. I'd also like to talk about the United Way money. They received money to provide greater sheltering in place. As we know, we have a homelessness issue in the state, and I'm very proud of United Way in Greeley and Evans. They have really stepped up to this, and these dollars allowed them to expand their capacity in order to increase social distancing and protecting safety. Our food bank also received money. We know food vulnerability and instability is huge. We have still have a food bank here at UNC, and we know that during this economic crisis, people are vulnerable. I've got to tell you, the most emails I received when the beginning of the pandemic was how people were so happy that they could get unemployment through as a gig economy worker, as someone who was an independent contractor or an Uber driver or a variety of positions. I've got to acknowledge what we did in the legislature, which was extending alcohol to deliveries and pickups. And once again, I heard this morning from one of our local breweries how really that was pivotal in their economic success. And I think that is so essential. I need to sort of briefly touch on one thing, which is we had educational institutions such as the university, UNC, and our local school districts before the pandemic, which were struggling with adequate funding. And we are happy that those institutions are responding well to the issues with COVID, but that will remain a challenge in the future because these are institutions that we need to preserve. UNC is critical to our community. Thank you, Executive Director Markey, for mentioning the small business loan and grant program that I was involved with. Small businesses are the American dream, and they're critical to our economic recovery. I'm looking forward to continuing to work together at the local, state, and federal level to fight this virus and achieve recovery and move forward to a better future.
Well, thank you, Representative Young, and thanks again to our host, University of Northern Colorado, Weld County, Larimer County. I want to thank everybody, and look, common sense, let's bear down and get through the next few months, avoid large crowds, wear masks around others in public, especially indoors, good social distancing, try to be 6-8 feet from others where you can. If there's small events, space out the seats. That's what we do to keep our reporters safe here at these briefings. When I'm doing a meeting with small businesses, we're spaced out. I want the same for you and safety that I want for myself and my family. So please be smart, be safe. We'll get through this, Colorado. With that, we'll be happy to take some questions. Yeah. We would love to see the federal government step up and help America get back to work and recover. We would love to see additional funding on the health response, additional help for and relief for small businesses, and really it's time for our farmers and ag. Really important time for the federal government to step up and help restore our economic strength, as well as prevent additional loss of life by funding on the health side.
Hello, Governor. This is Pete from Energize at Bloomberg News in Denver. Question on COVID. Do you think the talk of government intervention and COVID being a hoax, etc., will finally be laid to rest considering the White House situation?
What was the, I'm sorry, could you repeat that for me? I had a little trouble hearing it. One more time.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Again, on COVID, do you think in some form of government intrusion and COVID being a hoax, etc., will be laid to rest finally considering the situation in the White House? Thank you, sir.
Well, look, I mean, I think responsible media outlets have been informing the general public in a science-based, high-quality way from the very start. We learn more about this virus every day. It affects people regardless of their income level, their race, whether they're in rural Alabama, whether they're in Denver, or whether they work in the White House. It truly does not pick favorites, and it's important for all workplaces to put strong precautions in place. I think the White House didn't have strong enough precautions around mask wearing, around social distancing. We want better than that for you and for me, and that's why so many Colorado workplaces are really integrating social distancing, telecommuting, and mask wearing into everything that they do. We all don't have the luxury of the same level of testing that the White House has had. I visited there. I got tested before I was even allowed in. But I think one thing that this demonstrates very clearly is that while testing is very important, testing alone is not the answer. And that we also need to continue in the coming weeks and months with the social distancing and the mask wearing to be safe. And my thoughts and prayers are with everybody who contracted COVID as part of the White House outbreak, and of course COVID victims across America and across the world.
Governor Polis, the outbreak at JBS was declared over, I believe, Sunday. How comfortable are you with both the CPHA response to that significant outbreak as well as that of the county here?
Well, first, my condolences go out to the families who lost loved ones to the deadly virus at the JBS outbreak, and frankly, all 2,053 Coloradans, 208,000 Americans, well over 1 million people across the world who've suffered the ultimate price because of this virus. It continues to be a challenging time for the community and workers. Workers at JBS and across Colorado deserve protections, assurances they're safe at the job. We need to make sure that people who are exhibiting symptoms, who are sick, are not forced to go to work under duress. They stay home. Testing. The state was proud to support the testing response to JBS with free community testing in Greeley. And really, it's important for all employers to take this very seriously and make sure that they have workplace protocols in place to keep employees as safe as possible during the pandemic.
Hi, Governor. John Daly on Public Radio. I have a question for you regarding the precautions you're taking as you travel around. You have a pretty heavy travel schedule on the state, and maybe you could describe a little bit the various measures that you and your team take as you travel, and how that might inform what other people do.
Yeah, I have to look at this like we all look at this in our lives. I'm not going to stop being an effective governor because of the pandemic. And to be an effective governor, I need to be in communities and listen to people in Grand Junction and Greeley and Pueblo and Colorado Springs and Denver. And we all need to live our lives. It's not a time for fear or anxiety. It's a time for caution. We take strong precautions in every event. Social distancing, mask wearing indoors. Our mask wearing guidelines are that when you're not presenting or speaking, you wear a mask. That's why you see my colleagues here at this point are wearing their masks. When they speak, I wear mine. But everybody else here is wearing a mask. We have meetings outdoors where we can, also 6-8 feet apart. We've had some great, what we used to call round tables. We used to be all crammed in a conference room, 12, 15 people around a table. Now we're usually outdoors. We have chairs spaced out in a circle, 8 feet apart from one another. So we are using the very best science to guide me in being able to do my job in a reasonably safe way. Like every Coloradan, I have a risk of contracting the virus. I try to minimize that risk for my team, for myself, for all those we come into contact with by using the very best science-based guidelines around mask wearing and social distancing.
Hi, this is Erin Craig with KUSA in Colorado Springs and Denver. I understand there was a scheduled call with Trump and governors today. Were you on that call and with Trump? And also, how often are you tested for COVID? Thank you.
There was not a call that I'm aware of that today with the president. I would know if there was. There wasn't, so I don't know. I don't know what the source of that was. We did not have a call with the president today. I've been tested for COVID probably 8 or 9 times. I think our new protocol now that testing is more widely available, we are testing the team around me. And myself, we try to do that once a week. But again, as we saw with the White House outbreak, no amount of testing prevents the need for the social distancing, the mask wearing, and the safety requirements. And we've even seen this inside, for instance, the football bubbles, right, where you have to be tested to go in, but there's still been some team-based outbreaks. So they reduce the odds of outbreaks. Their testing is great. We're so excited. There's more testing coming online, including 110,000 rapid tests that we'll be deploying in the next 2 weeks that take 10 minutes. But no amount of testing will prevent the need for the safety measures that we need to take for the next few weeks and months to get through this. Well, we know that one of the hardest hit industries is airline and tourism in general. I'm hopeful that the federal government will step up and help the airline industry and tourism industry as one of the most hard hit industries that will take a while to recover until people travel in a close to normal way again. We really measure ourselves in two main yardsticks with regard to the coronavirus response in Colorado. One is the health, and one is the economy. On the health side, we have less deaths per capita than most other states. We express condolences to the over 2,000 lives lost, but by taking these precautions and being safe, we hope to reduce unnecessary loss of life. While the unemployment rate in Colorado is unacceptable at 6.7%, it is 2 points lower than the national unemployment rate. With the bold action of Betsy Markey and her team and over 200 business people from across the state that in the early days worked on a plan to mitigate the impact of this crisis. The work that the legislature and Representative Young did around help to small businesses, help to get our restaurants through this difficult time with the liquor requirements, the quick adaptation of telemedicine. The work that Rick Garcia has done for rental assistance to help people be able to meet their rental bills and stay in their homes, we'd have been able to reduce the economic damage here in Colorado. Does anybody else want to address that, Betsy?
Well, I will add to that, Governor. Yes, tourism being one of the hardest hit industries, not just in our state, but around the world. We know people are not flying, both domestically and particularly internationally. So our tourism office has really pivoted to make sure that we market to in-state Coloradans. And so we want Coloradans to stay in Colorado and visit those hidden gems we have across the state and spend their money here. And I think that has been a successful campaign this summer, and we also want to drive people this fall. We've done the first ever fall tourist campaign, again, targeted at Coloradans visiting wonderful activities along the Front Range and throughout our beautiful state.
And that's a message we want to echo for Coloradans. Maybe you had a trip planned to Italy or France and you can't go because they don't let Americans in. Maybe you had a trip planned to Florida, but you're worried about their high COVID rates and you don't want to go. Enjoy our beautiful state instead. 41 state parks, our national parks, the beautiful outdoors. Colorado has a lot to offer. You can always visit elsewhere in years to come, but it'll help our economy. And it'll be safe for you to invest your time exploring all the great wonders of our great state.
Governor, you mentioned the issues that we've seen even in professional sports, but as we are about to start with high school football again at your approval, it's impossible to test students at that level that you can test a professional athlete in college athletes.
Sure.
What's your confidence level going into this, and why the decision to go forward after Scott had previously decided that it was going to move a
Well, I was so proud to really see the kids themselves lead this movement. There were high school football players really across the state that really made it clear that they're ready to play. I like to encourage that kind of initiative. For them, there's a big difference between spring and fall, and some districts are going in spring, and I think to run a good football program, that's what they're going to do, and obviously it's quality first. But for others that are going in fall, for many of these young people, this is their big chance. Could be a college scholarship, could be a professional career. It could just be a memory that'll last a lifetime. The good news about all the sports that are happening now, they're outdoors, including football. As long as the students are taking the precautions around weight rooms and distancing indoors, I think that's a reasonably safe thing to do. We've had team sports back really throughout summer for kids, and one of the advantages of organized sports is it allows for easy contact tracing if there is an outbreak. You know exactly who the kids were on the team, who they might have played against, and it's a lot less chaotic than pickup sports or informal sports. Thank you all.
Deb's gonna go, wanted me to say hello.
Oh, say hi for me, please. Yeah.
I wanted you to stop and see somebody, but
I wish I
going
had
to-
time. Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna tell her.
Yeah, I think we're off to Larimer County
That's what
now,
I
but
figured.
give her my regards,
I will,
please. Yeah.
I will. Good to see you. Good to see you. I learned something today about cops because I have 2 people I'm going to have to refer them to because I had asked constituent services and it might have been